Welcome to HortTube. My name is Jim Putnam. In this video, I'm doing a small annual planting around my back porch area. There's a video on the channel that I just put up recently expanding a bed area, creating new bed space from my turf. There was compost put down. It was broken up. In this case, it was broken up with a shovel. You could use a tiller if you needed to incorporate that compost in. And then I just put the pine bark down on top of that. You don't necessarily need the pine bark. The compost, blend it in, a little extra compost on the top. Plant your annuals directly into that, and you'll have great success. I'm showing some of these combos that are going into the landscape. I won't spend a whole lot of time on this one because I've done a couple of these videos like this already, but stick around to the end of the video and you can see some great individual annuals that have gone into the landscape that I haven't shown yet. By expanding this bed a little bit and creating a new annual space here, it's going to allow me to leave some other things in, some other perennials into the back of this space that I'll be planting going forward. But in the meantime, pansies will be able to stay in place. Swiss chard will be able to stay in place for a few weeks because they look great right now. There's some garlic planted in here that can stay in place, and my annuals can get started for the summer. Again, later on when these things come out, I have a few perennial ideas to pop in here behind what is my annual planting for the summer. This is a super simple mix of Angelonia, Pentas, and SunPatiens, similar to what I had here last year. These are this is not a full sun space really. It does get full sun on it in the middle of the day, so I am using perennials for the full sun, but it's really only about 3 hours of direct sun. And I found the Angelonia, the Pentas, and the SunPatiens do absolutely perfect in those conditions where there's only about 3 hours of direct sun. But it's important that that direct sun is kind of midday up above us. So again, this is a completely random thing for me. I'm going to take these purple Angelonia. I have 3 packs of them. I'm going to put maybe 5 or 6 plants on this side and 5 or 6 plants on the other side. Actually, there's more packs than that. So I might end up with about 8 of these on each side. As random as as a human can do it, is what I'm going for. So not perfectly straight lines, and I've got some Angelonia that I did from seed as well. That's going to go into this. It's going to go into this mix that are on the end of this tray. This is a mix that has some of the same colors of the pink and white and lavender in the mix. So I'm not going to use all of these because I'm going to extend this down a little further. But I've got some winter some more pansies and other things in the space where some of these are going to go. So I'm saving a few of them for a week or so, 2 weeks more with the pansies. So whether this was clay or sand or loam or whatever type of soil it is, this compost technique will work great for growing your annuals. After these go in the ground, they're going to be watered. They'll be fertilized in a few weeks. I've actually already fertilized all of this area once this season, and I don't push the plants very hard. What else? Stick around again because there's going to be some other interesting annual combinations that I'm not going to shoot a whole video for at the end of this one. So let's get these in the ground. So that combo with the Angelonia and the Pentas and the SunPatiens are in. I did some of the Angelonia from seed. Some of the others were purchased. The SunPatiens were purchased. Last thing I'll put in the ground before we start a little hop around tour is some Lobelia that I did from seed in the house. This is just a ground cover Lobelia. They have those kind of lavender blue flowers on it. It's going to look great with the St. John's wort. These are great in the park shade. Again, I can almost put this little pocket that I'm standing in, I can kind of put sun things and shade things in here just because it is getting some direct sun. but it's not long enough to actually hurt a lot of these shade things. Lobelia is something, if you seed them yourselves, it's the tiniest little seed you've ever seen in your life. And it has a tendency to hop around to your other cells. And so you'll end up with lobelia in everything. So this was done in a single tray like this to prevent that from having lobelia in everything. So keep that in mind. But it is easy to do from seed, and it's super rewarding. It'll bloom here, the entire summer, right into fall. It's, again, inexpensive to do from seed. So I'm just going to lay a bunch of these out in here and pop them in the ground like I've done everything else. This is an area in the front garden that we refer to as the swoosh, because it meanders through this front bed. And I've done, this will be the third year that an annual planting has been done here. Most of this was done from seedlings in the house. I would say like 2/3 was done here from seed, and a third was purchased. And it's a combination of celosia, Coleus, vinca, profusion zinnias that were all done from seed here, and some melanpodium. And this is mostly yellows and oranges together. So this is going to be very, very showy. This is another space that up until now has been annuals because other projects are eventually going to be done here. There's going to be a set of steps coming up where I'm standing. This is about 2 feet above the driveway, actually. There's 3 shrubs that are going in here behind me pretty soon. And so we'll cut this bed down a little bit, and then it'll be cut down further eventually. This space last year was giant zinnias and underplanted with some lantana, so that the zinnias kind of burn out during the summer, and then the lantana takes it over. Basically what's been done. Again, giant zinnias have gone in that were seed that was done in the house. The yellow that you're looking at are snapdragons that did not perform all that well through the winter, and now they look fantastic. So we're leaving them in place so we can enjoy them for a few weeks here before the sun runs them out. There's celosia that's been planted around them, and so when they come out, the celosia will fill in pretty quickly. But again, shrubs go in there. The zinnias will look fantastic for about 8 weeks, maybe 10 weeks. And then again, they just start to decline. They don't look as good, but I have an underplanted plan with the lantana to fill in after that. Over here to this side, there's a few celosia planted and some giant marigolds, both of which were done from seed here. There's a telephone pole on the edge of the property, and unfortunately I have these 2 guide wires that come down into the front garden to anchor it in place because there's so many wires coming off of it. So these black-eyed Susan vines were done from seed in the house. There's 3 of them planted on that one and 3 on another one that's close by. This area right behind the fence, which eventually has a caryopteris that will get bigger, has a cedar that will eventually get a bit bigger in here. Won't need help in the future, but in the meantime, there is some bare soil down here, and if I can do things from seed inexpensively, it's easy to fill in with some summer color. So there's some profusion zinnias, this double raspberry ripple, that the purplish color, and then there's some lisianthus blended into that. This is the 3rd annual planting video. One was an area in the back, around the back lawn. And then the second one was this front border right here, if you want to go back and take a look at that video. A single African basil was planted right here, and it looks lonely, doesn't it? This thing can grow inches a day. It will fill a space this big. Last year I had 3 of these here, and it was just absolute overkill. It almost killed some of the other things that were around it. So this year there's 1 African basil going here. If you can get your hands on this is an annual for me. It's a perennial in zone 10. A couple of the other things are as well, but this is like a zone 10 perennial, but I use this as an annual. There's nothing better for pollinators in the landscape than this African basil. Pansies have been left in several places in the landscape. The heat will eventually burn these out. I have some shade perennials and some sun perennials, 2 separate videos that are coming very soon. Some of these spaces are where those perennials are going. In the shadier spaces, the annuals that are used are Torenia. This is Torenia here. There's lots of little pockets of Torenia in the shady spaces where there's a little bit of room to put them in the meantime, while maybe a perennial thing will go there in the future, or a shrub will get bigger in the future. There'll be less room for this, but in the meantime, Torenia is great. Lobelia works. Did the Lobelia from seed, and there's Lobelia in this video earlier planted, and then also Impatiens are planted in the shadier spaces on the back line, and they're pretty drought tolerant once they're established. And so if you have a dry shade space, Impatiens are the way to go. This little side path in the back garden is an example of what I was just talking about with the shade plantings. There's a little pocket here where other things will eventually fill in this space, but for now, Lobelia that was done from seed in the house has been planted here. Little pocket next to that where Impatiens are planted. And then there's some Coleus used over here. And one thing you need to think about when you're using Coleus is to match the colors with the other things that are in your landscape, because they can be a bit busy. There's a reddish one used right here next to a green. It has a green backdrop with it. There are gold ones used over here, and they're used with green foliage. There is a purple foliage one back here that's parked next to a variegated plant. And so, be careful with your Coleus, how you're using them in the landscape, and just match them appropriate. The lighter colors can go with your darker color shrubs. The darker colors can go with your lighter color shrubs. This is where the video started, doing this little turf edge. Here, there are a few more annuals that are going into some container planting videos, so you'll see that as well. So container planting videos, and then a sun perennial video and a shade perennial video. So lots more to plant here in the landscape. But between these three videos, you've seen a lot of different uses of annuals, a lot of which were started from seed here at the house to save some money. So thank you guys very much for following along with the channel. Don't forget to subscribe for these other upcoming videos. Thanks for watching.